Thank you, Dennis. And hi, folks. Thank you so much for making time. Maybe late evening here in India, it's really early morning. And it's start of the long weekend, so I'm just excited to, start this with this talk. And right on to my topic, right? And now onwards, I'm just going to share my screen, so won't be able to see anything that is happening here in the live chats. So apologies if anybody posts any question or anything and I'm not able to comment on it, right? So with that, let me just get started, right? So today I'm just going to talk about some of the flows that, helped me shape my career. And it is all about the decisions that happened, the decisions that came naturally, the decisions that I took, and some of the learnings that I really had from that overall career journey. I am also a very voracious reader, and then because of that, I tend to stay with a lot of quotes. So in my speech, you will probably come across some of the quotes that have stayed with me and sort of anchored me through the journey. Right. So getting started with a couple of quotes, they have sort of anchored the whole career and, given me the strength time to time to take some radical decisions. The first one is life is not a process of discovery. It's a process of creation. Seek, therefore, not to find out who you are. Seek to determine who you want to be. Now, this really gave me a very attitudinal shift in my mind, right? Rather than, just trying to be in your comfort zone, this quote really inspired me to go out of it and seek the unknown, seek something that you would like to be, but probably do not have enough confidence to do, right? The second thing is intuition is God's alphabet. And this is something that actually I believe a lot. People used to call it a gut feeling. People call it as something that, it's there somewhere back of your mind, but you're not listening. So taking time out and really looking at what your intuition says has really turned out to be very powerful throughout my life, right? So with that, before I get into what my career is, just one fundamental point that I have always sort of lived through in my life. This is something that was given to me by my elders, and I'm utterly grateful for that. Just one thought, and this is something that my grandfather used to say, right? Every day nourish your body, mind, and soul. So figure out one thing, folks, that does that either supports your body, supports your mind, supports your soul. This is going to be a different thing for individual, but knowing this and then taking time out to really do your bit for this nourishment is tremendously powerful and really sails you through your entire life. For me, for my fitness or the physicality, I tend to stay with yoga, meditation, and I'm generally very cautious about the food that I am eating. I'm a voracious reader. Every day I have to read something to sort of, one piece of information that I never knew before, right? So I really like to be a bit intentional about what I read, and also try and protect myself from information overload, right? That also sort of tires you out. So you need to protect that. And given the virtual world and digital world that we live in, it is very easy to get tired by information overload. Our mind needs time to process it as well. For soul, I think people call it different things. You can call it passion, you can call it getting in the flow, getting in the zone, but doing something that really makes you lose yourself and the track of time. Doing something every day is very helpful. For me, these things keeps changing. So I like to maybe listening to a music, reading a good fiction or a detective story, even watching a movie like Avengers, And I'll get to that. But nowadays, the quantum computing topic, I don't want to sound cliche, but the topic of quantum computing seems to be getting me in the zone. And one of the reasons that I sort of do what I do is because of this. Yeah, so moving on to a little bit about my career. So I have about 20 years of experience overall. I started as a computer scientist, but before that, if I just step back and understand why I chose technology or a scientific career, uh, I mean, more often than not, it really boils down to me being utterly lazy. I never like to write long answers and big papers, and that is a norm in other subjects in India. Uh, so one of the reasons that I sort of got attracted to maths and physics was that I didn't have to write a lot. And that really sort of, so that's why I said, right, lot of decisions are with the flow of the life. There was no intention behind it. And people talk about STEM, but I really like to bring the art, and that is why I have marked that as A. The art side, literature, philosophy, humanity, history, all of these topics are really interesting. I really like all of them. I just left them because from the exam perspective, I think it translates into writing a lot of stuff, right? So, and I think having a balance of knowing technology, but at the same time, where the world is moving, etc., is very very powerful. Um, because I learned to read right from my childhood. I think one of my best anchors in my whole life and career have been books. And I'm just going to give you a few examples, right? Like when I was a teenager, and as a normal teenager would do, like to rebel a lot on a lot of things that sort of get to you as rules and decisions made by somebody else, etc. I was also sort of turning very fidgety on this, but that time, I in those formative years, I ended up reading a book called as Glimpses of World History. This was a book written by, so this is not really a book. These are the set of letters written by India's first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, when he was in jail in the pre-independence era, to his own daughter who was 8 years old and alone at home. Now, because it was intended for an audience of 9 to 10 years, but it could really get very complex. And in my teenage, it actually helped me understand the bigger problem, the bigger stage. And in my mind, it gave me a perspective of the battle that I am choosing, right? And I think that really calmed me down a lot. Moving on to the overall journey of education, I think I had a pretty breezy life there. I did good academically. I was in the engineering college, and in the last year, I think I ended up reading another book, which has sort of I still remember, that was by Ayn Rand, called The Fountainhead. And that was the time when you get a lot of pressure from peers and the norms in the college on what's happening versus what you want to do. And that book really helped me endorse my individuality, I would say, right? Stand up there even if you are alone, but do what you want to do. And then that once you I think once you make certain leap of faith or certain decisions, I think you build that muscle memory, so it just becomes easier after the first decision. And then moving on, I think in the recent years, I ended up reading a book called as uh, Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman, and that book was all about internal battles, right? And then I realized that most of the problems that I am seeing externally, the manifestations that are happening externally, are really the blockers that I carry inside me. And a few of the most important battles that I will ever fight in my life are going to be internal. And this gave me a lot of, I would say, a pause and calmness and ability to think through on what are the driving forces on the things that I am trying to do. So with that, I'll just, zip past through the career journey, right? So I started as a scientist. I spent 5 years in high performance computing in atomic research laboratory in India. Had a good time there with a lot of interdisciplinary scientists. By definition, the HPC opened me up into a lot of problems from reactor physics to reactor engineering to instrumentation to even some biomedical problems, and gave an opportunity to interact with those scientists in those fields and how they are looking at problems and solutions, etc. I moved into a startup for telco after that, and really helped develop some of the POCs, which are next generation and ahead of the time. But it gave me a good insight into the power that the mobility can bring, and a lot of technical insights into how those protocols work and what is required, especially like in country like India, to make that coverage in the rural areas. How does the finance, how does the business make sense apart from the goodwill and approach to do good overall, etc. Right? So that was a very different learning, I would say, that I carried. And then I moved to IBM in the technical sales profession, where I learned the art of connecting the dots, understanding a business priority, connecting it to technology, and then making it simple and tailored to the audience so that people can put their money on the table for doing what you are saying. And then I moved, sort of matured in my career, and now I do a technical leadership role, which is more like nourishing the teams. And I really get, thrilled by seeing the other careers prosper and people shaping up. And then the idea is really to create the scale and create a large scale impact with the high performance team, which are very, very tech savvy, but at the same time, very accountable for a business outcome, right? So that's really what I do nowadays. Now, if you see, I had really done a very radical journey in terms of what I have done. Always the next role that I have always taken is something that have taken me out of my comfort zone, and always done something that I've never done before. I met a lot of good mentors, coaches along the way. Very different people, very different, style of management and very different principles. But there were a couple of things that were common with all the coaches that I ever met. And they were, first of all, they never patronized me for being a woman. And that is very critical, and that was, I think, very important for me. Second one was their ability to give critical feedback spot on, right? A timely feedback at the time when it is happening. That is also one thing that was common across all my coaches. And third one was the proportionate appreciation. And I think this is something that we need to sort of get our hands around, because it's just going out of the hand right nowadays, because we want to appreciate everybody. But the appreciation really needs to be in proportionate with what the achievement is. Otherwise, you tend to set the bar too low, and it's not good for anybody. So that's really about how my career sort of panned out. There are 3-4 learnings that I will just voice out here. First one was quality cannot be negotiable in your work, irrespective of what we do. I am not really a good fan of multitasking. I tend to do time boxing a lot. But again, I'm just going to quote Aristotle here, and he said, we are what we repeatedly do, and excellence then is not an act, it's a habit. So if you have a habit to excel in anything you do, you will excel in everything, right? So I think that sort of anchors the way I again approach my work. Challenge status quo. there are a lot of you tend to get into a job, and there are a lot of these pre-assumptions on the table. Just because it has been there for ages doesn't really mean that they are valid. So challenging the status quo really helps you bring the new energy and new dimension to the job. So I've always done that. Every day do something intentionally new and have the courage to fail. And I think because I am the one who learns by doing things rather than just listening to something, and hence it was always very important for us to keep learning by doing something. So I make it a point to do everything, something new every day. It can be very small thing, right? Like yesterday I was trying to make this origami ninja star, anything, right? But it really, doing something new really helps you. And I think failures are the greatest teachers. All my patents, I have always any patent I have filed so far is always a result of a great set. So there are a lot of learnings you can take from the failures. And then define success for yourself, otherwise the world will define it for you. But as an individual, not everything that you mean a lot to you really counts in the external world, and what external world is counting on probably doesn't mean a lot to you. So defining that success for yourself is very key. And with that, I think I'm at the top of the time, but just going to take maybe a couple of minutes more, because I just wanted to, sort of cover why quantum computing and how does that career make sense to me. So I am part of the sales organization, right? So there is all the quantum roles that I have done so far, they are always stretch assignments. Why I did that? Because somehow in this one topic, first of all, it puts me in my zone, like I said, and hence I was very, very interested in pursuing this further. Somehow for me, a lot of dots connected in the past for quantum computing. My experience in atomic physics, HPC, my strong mathematical skills, multidisciplinary exposure, breadth of my industry experience, the skill for understanding business problems and converting into the tech possibilities, and the narration skill that I've built over the years, right? All of them really came together for me to do the evangelizing of quantum computing in the businesses and with the partners who are looking out for business outcome, right? So that's my sweet spot, and I really love doing that. It also complements my current role, which is like day job, right? So it helps me establish thought leadership with my clients and C-suite, and it also enriches me to the blind spots that the current approaches are having in a lot of problem solutions, and bring that into the conversation. It gives opportunity, one, to transform the way the businesses are approaching the problem. Second, influence the ability to nurture new careers in my partners and my customers to get them started early on this exciting technology. And I know that it is going to take a lot of patience and resilience to really sail through this journey, because we are not anywhere near to mainstream commercialization of this particular technology. So that's really why I ended up doing what I do. And I just love talking to these people, you people, when you are, we are part of a network community. I'm really excited to how these things are going to take forward us and, shape the world that we live in. So that's about it, folks. And that's what I just wanted to share as my few thoughts. And thank you so much for listening in. Let me get back into the original screen and see any comments, questions. Yeah. So I'm back.
Hey, Tilaka, nice talk. Thank you. It's always interesting to hear what books inspire people and the range of books people read. So I loved hearing that. And I think in the chat, we were all talking about different books and what it meant to us. So thank you very much.